TIZS here in what was a good Q order mind games.
I do, however, expect this to be a lot less polarized and one-sided than some of the other games we've seen today, because Shaman does have some of those draws that can fight back. And also, there is the Celestial Alignment tech that we saw in Bank Yugi's Druid as well. I wonder if TIZS will be looking at this as a priority or just a bonus, because the timing of it is very similar to like Mage and Warlock, where you want to play it before they complete quests and before they get the reward. Otherwise, you're discounting Brukan to 1 mana as well, and then they can just play it right back the turn after.
Okay, interesting hand for Alutemu. I mean, having 1 Perpetual Flame is obviously not bad to be able to answer an early Glowfly, but 2, not really what you're looking for. It can be hard to actually spend those unless they have exactly double Glowfly.
Love the decision to hold on to Nature Studies on 1 from TIZS, because he knows he's going turn 2 Guess the Weight anyway. He could go Nature Studies turn 3 to discount whatever spell is going to come next. Unlucky there with the guess, and that's not the greatest top deck, because TIZS, I think, is looking for a sometimes Shaman gets off to these quicker starts, but against this opener from Alutemu, I think, yeah, much better for TIZS to find card draw and ramp.
And that's exactly what he's got. More card draw, and with a Germination in hand, a Nourish, a Solar Eclipse. If he can find Anaconda, he's already looking at the kind of hand that can pop off pretty heavily with Anaconda next card. Okay, we're getting there. And Overgrowth as well. This is not legal.
Get out of here, Alutemu. I know you're not a Friday gamer, but you might not be a Saturday gamer either. This draw. Okay, let's pull it back. Feral Spirits this turn is a very strong top deck, about the best with the early curves you can get. I honestly think Canal Slogger early is quite strong in this matchup as well, because it doesn't just die to Lunar Eclipse.
Yeah.
But Alutemu has not had the option for that pressure, and TIZS has so much time, so much mana. Next turn, 2 Anacondas minimum and a Nourish. Okay.
Yeah, how would he go about it? I guess Solar Germination is probably what you're looking at, and then, yeah, you Nourish don't even need to bloom. Pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I wonder if he would ever like try to go Solar Nourish instead, but 3 Anacondas sounds good to me. Let's just do that.
Yeah, I think even if you don't hit anything relevant, they're just not going to be able to clear all your Anacondas.
Yeah. And Alutemu's face should say it all here. He didn't get a particularly good opener, but there are very few that can beat this kind of push from Druid. I will say, if TIZS whiffs on this, like can't go any wider. Okay, he can go wider. He got more card draw. I was going to say there's an opportunity for a Discovered Devolving Missiles to maybe pull it back for Alutemu, but there's just too many minions now. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that he'll be able to get a lot of use out of his new emote, Alutem Sureo. I'm saying that correctly. It's his new emote. I don't know what it means. It's him crying. I assume it means crying in Japanese, but I have absolutely no idea.
He just put it on his stream, right? It was just there.
Yeah.
My favorite is Alutemu yada yada yada.
I love that emote. That is such a good one.
Yeah. He's just screeching and flailing his hands in the air in anger. It's amazing. But obviously, a lot more composure from Alutemu on GM than you might see from Alutemu on his own personal stream.
Exactly. As, you know, kind of joking already, because this game is essentially over. TIZS did the thing he was supposed to do. Alutemu is giving it a very good shot with double Perpetual Flame and spell damage. He can represent quite a lot of clearing potential, but I just don't think it's enough.
Yeah, well, the way Flame works is it continues with the Death Rattles, right?
Yeah.
If this all works out, there might be like 1 or 2 minions left.
It's pretty good.
And then he can go Overdraft. That's pretty good indeed, but it involved a lot of luck with the order, which I don't necessarily think he got. It's not enough spell damage, too much health on the double Anacondas.
It's pretty good though, to be fair. This is a lot more clearing than I was expecting at the beginning of this turn.
Like, if you threw a Bloom into this turn and Alutemu had Note Taker and an additional Perpetual Flame, you'd be looking at a different story. But The fact that it was double Arbor Up got the Anacondras out of range of the double Perpetual Flame and the Novice Zapper. Not a lot of boards can survive that.
Another Germination as well. I mean, it's not the nuts because it's not card draw, but it's still a 2-mana 7/5 with a Death Rattle that's going to summon a 2/2. It's, I think, just that little bit too much for Alutemu to overcome.
If he gets Guidance off the top into Devolving Missiles with the Note Taker, can that do anything?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You got Guidance.
I think that's better than Charged Call, because I can't think of any minions other than rabbits, and he's very far off from 10 costs that do enough to dismantle this board.
He's going Guidance, sure.
Yeah. Bloom and Flame, those are pretty good.
Those are
Another
pretty
Guidance.
good.
That's a 3/3. He could just get Brukan as well this turn. Not that he could play it. Charged and... If he just had time, these are the nuttiest Guidances in history.
Oh, I don't think he could go coin Brukan, but he's just dead before he can make any of that work. It's so close.
Charged Call, currently at 8 cost, it can get to 9 with the Perpetual Flame, right?
Yeah, okay.
So if he gets Sleepy Dragon, can he stay alive? Oh, it's 10, my bad. Oh, Rabbit!
10, wow. Do you even want that over Scrapyard?
I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, you kill a lot of stuff.
It's the most damage removed for sure. Okay.
I mean, if TIZS draws dead, this is like not over. That second charged call is huge.
Oh, but then the Brukan costs 1. Wait.
That's kind of dead.
It is kind of dead.
There's no way.
No.
There is no way that Alutemu wins this game. He was so out of it.
We got a new emote for Alutemu. Alutemu Pause Champ or something like that. I don't really know. He's just in this. I mean, okay, TIZS can push 6 damage face this turn. Yeah.
So what?
And he can make it such that Alutemu's next turn at best is a 7/7. But that's still not enough, right? Because the 6 damage doesn't represent lethal next turn. So, are you supposed to not alignment? Sure, because wait, Alutemu was Giga overloaded, so you do alignment, right?
He's overloaded for 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he is overloaded for a lot.
Yeah. So you just take the turn. Say Alutemu can do nothing, can't play his Brukan.
Right.
Set up the 2-turn lethal. It's a bit sketchy, the 2-turn, because Alutemu can just trade 1 away. And then TIZS does not have lethal on board, but what he's done is deleted this turn from Alutemu, at least.
But then he just has Brukan Storm Call, Brukan plus Charged Call. Do you have to play that again now to stop him from doing that? Like, again, you don't know they have Charged Call, and you have to pray that they don't, but I think Alutemu is just winning.
And the coin is a Lightning Bloom after Brukan, so he can play Vivid Source as well.
That's true. I didn't even think of that. That's true.
Oh my god, what? He's just winning!
This is staggering. I have never seen the like of this.
I have never seen it either. Oh my god.
A little wry smile from Alutemu as well. How shall I win this game?
Let me count the ways. Cube Shaman has been unleashed, just representing counter lethal next turn. TIZS needs a miracle.
Oh, he's such a god. He's just so cool. I want to be Alutemu.
I concede.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That was one of the best games of Hearthstone I've ever seen. I cannot believe that Alutemu won that game. I am staggered.
Me too. I don't... How did he... Derek! He was so far behind. He was faced with 3 7/9 Anacondras and then a bunch of Treants.
Yeah.
And then he had to engineer a Perpetual Flame, which I thought had to go perfectly. It didn't. It killed probably the average amount of minions.
Yeah.
Second Perpetual Flame did about the same. it was the overdraft that he picked up somewhere along the way that allowed him to have mana on the turn after he would have been overloaded for 80 million because of the double perpetual flames. And with all of those overload spells cast, got the guidance top deck. I was talking about devolving missiles, but he had enough stuff for charge call instead. The lightning bloom, the guidance was amazing, so that he could actually get rabbit off of the charge call. To even think of that out requires a lot of imagination. To actually execute it requires a lot of perseverance, and to actually end up winning the game, I think nobody but Alutemu could have achieved.
It was insane. He didn't just beat a bad matchup, he beat the nuts from a bad matchup. Like, it was Ramp Anaconda, Soul double Arbor up. Like, you never beat that. No deck can beat that. And then even alignment at the end as well. But Alutemu got it done. An incredible game of Hearthstone, and Alutemu knows it. That is going down in the GM history books as one of the coolest games I've seen in a very, very long time. And after that, I mean, the series just opens up all of a sudden for Alutemu. It was looking okay, even with the expected loss, because he had the counter of Priest against the Druid. But now, TIZ's best chance of taking a win is the mirror.
It already looks like such dire straits for TIZS. I thought with that first Q, he got the absolute nuts matchup, and he kind of did. Just the pan out was nobody could have ever expected, and I thought TIZS put himself in such a good position to win the entire series, but that's the nature of LHS. You win one unfavorable, and it already looks like a colossal mountain to have to climb back from, because a lot of the time you don't have a backup for your snipe deck, and your opponent is going to be banning one of your redundancies, or they're going to be banning your deck that can be a catch-all. So it is just going to be the mirror now. And to be fair, compared to the mirrors we were seeing a while ago, every time this weekend that we've seen this kind of aggro-tech Quest Shaman with the title surge versus a regular Quest Shaman, the regular Quest Shaman has come out on top.
Yes, yeah, it has, to be fair. You're not wrong, you're not wrong. But Alutemu, I think, is just showing great understanding of Quest Shaman in general. I think it's just been doing pretty well for him overall. Although, actually, having said that, he's only 1-1 so far this weekend with it. But after that game, we'll count that as like 3 wins over the last one to skew the stats in his favor a little bit. I think he deserves it. But in terms of the mulligan, so far as I can tell, like, you're kind of just looking for, obviously, Lightning Bloom for these big pop-off turns. But outside of that, just curve options, like just Primal Dungeoneer looks decent to me. But the other 2 cards in hand, like Guidance gives you more value to complete the quest quicker, and Perpetual Flame is your catch-up card. Would you consider keeping any of the other cards in this hand?
And it's really close. Like, I always love to see Guidance in my opener because I feel like that's one of the best quest completion cards if you're not going for one of those turbo tempo based matchups where you're just trying to beat them down, and I don't think this is one of those matchups necessarily. The Dungeoneer also works with that because it's a card that replenishes its value while it gets you on board, right? But this being a full keep is very sketchy because the mana expenditure doesn't quite work out. So it looks like Alutemu is just going to keep the 2 in the middle that replenish their value while advancing your quest, and tosses the Perpetual Flame even though it can be very useful later on. I guess because he's not expecting to fall far behind this early on in the game, which I can respect.
Relatively even start. It's obviously more minion dense for Alutemu with 2 pairs in the double Guidance, double Primal Dungeoneer. But TIZS, you know, his hand is not necessarily falling behind. You know, he has Perpetual Flame to catch up. He's completing his quest with the Guidance as well. So, you know, I'd call this a pretty even start.
Yeah. He also has, you know, an additional overload card discovered from Primordial Studies. That is surplus. And every additional overload card you get from Discover effects is good here. It just gets you that closer to Brucon. And it means that one of your other overload spells that is probably value, you can save for post Brucon for additional value.
Well, Alutemu knows he's got the juice now with an Lightning Bloom being picked up as well. I'll be very curious to see the manner in which he plays this, because again, similarly to Bank Yugi earlier on, there's the Charge Call in hand, which is an immediate tempo option versus a potential late game win condition after Brucan. And Alutemu is kind of in that similar spot where he's just winning. He hit double Nature Spell off of both his Dungeoneers. He now has double Canal Slogger as well. He has all the resources in the world. So how does he peter out with immediate tempo, immediate payoff versus securing us an ultimate win con?
Well, I'm inclined to maybe say Bank Yugi had the right idea because he's been doing so well with it, which is if you're not falling far behind, then you do have the license to hold on to Charge Call, because first person to land Scrap Rare or Colossus, whether or not there's Vivid Spores on it, oftentimes just ends up winning the game.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that game plan coming together. And you saw Alutemu's expression with the double Dungeoneers hitting the nature spells, like you said, because by no means do you expect that to be consistent in Quest Shaman. Certainly Alutemu's list is a little bit more consistent because they've cut the primordial studies for tidal surges, which are nature spells, but there's still things like guidance, investment opportunity, feral spirits, which are not nature spells, so that's a really good outcome.
And so in terms of how TIZS can try and catch this one up, you can obviously go for immediately Storm Strike, clear the board, seems okay. You could even go for Perpetual Flame now. But it seems he wants to let Alutemu develop the board and then try and catch up. But I think Alutemu will take advantage of that quite happily and just turbo through his quests. He doesn't even need to develop more minions in order to do that.
Yeah, I think as long as Alutemu ends with one minion that has more than 3 health, it's a good hedge, because oftentimes if your opponent is just doing this hero power pass turn, you can smell the Perpetual in their hand. And I still think it's correct for TIZS to go for it, because he already realizes with this hand at some point he needs to play Perpetual to clear the board, which means you want to save the Perpetual for the first quest proc, because it's going to overload you for a lot, and you can unload all that overload at once. And it works out great here because the Novice Zapper allows the Perpetual to go to 4. And then he can still get rid of the Firebrand.
Yeah, it's perfect. And then he can follow up with probably just Canal Slogger as the most mana efficient play.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Nice. Okay.
Oh. Okay, TIZS ends up with a 3-4 of his own. I was going to say I like the Slogger not just because of mana efficiency, but again, it's another minion that's not just Perpetual Flame to get rid of it, but having high health on the 3-drop from Serpentine is a big deal here, but TIZS is quite behind on quest completion, and Alutemu has plenty of mana to work with this turn. Okay. Ooh, those are pretty good.
Those are pretty juicy. I mean, obviously plenty of ways to
get to the next stage already here with double Lightning Bolt if he wants, right?
Yeah, that's the difference, right? Is I think that there's lots of ways to spend your mana well on this turn. I just want to see as quickly as you humanly can turbo out this Brucan. That's the immediate win condition. Because as long as he plays a Lightning Bolt here, probably just launch it face, then you can play another one next turn, and then Brucan the turn after.
Yeah, well, I guess you don't have to Lightning Bolt this turn, right? Because one way or another, because of the overload, you can't play Brucan next turn anyway.
True,
you can't just leave the overload for next turn. Yeah,
you can overload 2 mana crystals, sorry, going into turn 7 and still play Brucan.
Right.
And so being able to go double bolt next turn or whatever is still probably just fine.
Yeah. Is deliberately held on to this Canal Slogger a little bit earlier, even though he could have spent his mana a bit more efficiently, probably because he values the healing on it, even though 25 to 30 doesn't feel like the biggest deal in the world. Getting value trades is also pretty annoying for Alutemu to have to deal with.
So Bolt is the obvious play on this turn, just to be able to throw down the Brucan next turn. And Alutemu says, you know what, if it looks good, it probably is good. Let's go for that, get the quest completion, and then charge call before my opponent. This is the deal breaker. The first player to get that down. It's becoming more and more apparent that, you know, these players who are so accustomed to this particular mirror, they've learned how the game plays out in the majority of games, and saving these charged calls to them feels like the main way you're trying to win the game.
And TIZS, because he knows the Brucan's coming down first, rips 7 drops, trying to deny it, but this is not good. No good stat line options for him, although to be fair, 7 drops are a lot weaker than 8 on average.
Yeah, 7 really just kind of sucks, to be honest. And now Brucan very happily being slammed down. Alutemu under no threat of lethal. He's even just ahead on board at the moment. And it's all on TIZS to try and turn this one around. Lightning Bloom, does that allow him to play Brucan this turn? Is he at 1 or 2 on the quest completion?
I think it would only put him to 1.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, maybe a taking bolt then.
Close, because you can Loom and then play Feral and Hex, because currently the Brucan on the other side is pretty annoying itself.
Yeah, you're not wrong, actually.
But he overloads for 1,000,000 if he makes that play. If you take Bloom and go Feral Spirits, you're overloaded for 3 the next turn, so you would be able to play Brucan, but pretty much the whole turn.
Yeah. Well, either way, he just needs to set up for playing Brucan the next turn, no matter what. And he's going for the line of just putting taunts in the way with this play, or maybe he's going to trade in his 6/6 to get around the Brucan. Woof.
That doesn't feel great, but anyway, initiative back on Alutemu's side. That is another overload minion. I think he just gets the 10 drops here very cleanly. The Perpetual is a full clear as well because of the spell damage.
Okay. Sure, as long as he gets the 10 drops, I'm happy with this play.
True. There's a Scrappy Boy.
Yeah. And there's another one.
You take Rabbit here? I kind of like Rabbit for full clear.
Oh, it's a bunch of 2/3s and 3/4s. Like, yeah, we don't care about these, right?
Fair, fair. I might be tunnel visioning on the Hex, but also there's just 2 of them, so
Yeah.
fair enough. They can only Hex 1 this turn with their mana, and that would mean not playing Brucan.
Yeah, okay, double draw on the investment opportunity. Looking for Bloom, I suppose, to overload for 1,000,000,000 next turn, but accepting you need the immediate tempo. Doesn't even want to go for it, though. This is gotta be close to lethal for Alutemu now, right?
I think he just goes for it now, because if he doesn't, like, TIZS might kill him next turn with Fireheart Bloom. It's a gazillion mana.
So he's got 20 at the moment. That gives him 26.
Yes.
If it
So
can
a
target
bolt
twice,
away.
does it work if there's nothing to target?
I think,
It probably does.
I think
right?
it works. It works.
Yeah. Overdraft as well?
Insane. Yeah, you know, you just go Perpetual Flame, and this overloads you twice, right, for every hit. Or, well, it depends. It depends how it goes, but I think this is very often lethal. 1, 2, 3, 4 procs. Oh, 3 procs, so he's 1 off?
It's 1 off, yeah. He has to overload. Oh no, because he's overloaded from previous turn as well. Yeah, it's exactly lethal.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, if there was some overload from the last turn, it works out perfectly there for Alutemu.
Pretty sick. Yeah, very, very well played. I don't think that was guaranteed at the end because it could have just hit Brucan twice. It had to hit the healing totem once or go hit the marsh spawn first, and then it could hit either one of them again. So there was a chance that it did just not give lethal, but he found the line there to be able to do it. And again, we're seeing more and more as it goes on. Kind of willing to just hold the L on my plan from earlier today, where in the mirror I wanted to see, tempo charged calls. The more I see it, Bank Yugi, Alutemu, they just know the matchup inside and out. And while TIZS did go for a tempo charged call, I think in his instance, he knew he was losing the game, so trying to go for a tempo route did make sense in that instance, because if it just carried on, he would lose. But Alutemu just knew exactly what to do in that matchup. I think very well played.
And the fact that he was able to get to his quest so quickly and have that many resources after the fact, I think, speaks to the power of opening hand double Primal Dungeoneer into double card draws. You're not supposed to get double that often from this list that doesn't run all the nature spells, but the fact that he kept one, he kept Guidance, which is another crucial card because it gets you towards quest completion but replenishes resources. You can see the stark difference between how many options the 2 players had towards the end there. And more and more it feels like going for a value-based opener when you're in the mirror feels like the way to approach the matchup. But now TIZS is on his last deck, and it is the flex deck, the Miracle Rogue from last meta, which I don't really know how to categorize it because it has some aggro tools, it has some combo tools, and it has some control tools.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's been cut from this list to make room for both SI7 Skulkers. It's one Orc Merchant and...
Vanessa?
Oh yeah, Vanessa, you're right. Okay, interesting. I think it maybe holds some amount of merit. To be honest, I was never really the biggest SI7 Skulker believer. Like, it's a good card, and if you can abuse the stealth effect, like in Paladin, or of course it progresses your quest, like in Quest Rogue, I can see it. But better than Vanessa, better than another Orc Merchant, I don't know. They're pretty good cards in the deck to be able to progress your field contact turns that are just the real backbone of the deck.
Well, the Skulker is a battle cry too. I think it's pretty good, especially in a field contact
that's true.
turn, because
Yeah, no,
it
that's
can
true.
keep the chain going while making something cheaper, right? Like, traditionally, this deck has functioned at its best when you're able to discount a bunch of things from Octobot. The Skulker is a non-conditional, less impactful discount, which is also just a fine play on curve. I'm into it, honestly.
That's fair. Okay, let's see if it works out, because I mean, the rest of his hand, in addition to the Skulker, just honestly looks pretty good. This is a decent curve start to the game.
Starting off with Skulker before Neophyte makes sense because Alutemu is off coin, so he's not likely to do any spell things on turn 2. It's actually low-key pretty good for TIZS that he has double Shadow Step in the opener, because it means the Skulker can't whiff a discount next turn.
That's true, yeah. I mean, that's one way of phrasing it. Another way is these are two dead cards in the start, but...
Or not, though. I mean, even if he ends up stepping Neophytes, I think it's good, because this turn, this shuts down Feral Spirit, it shuts down Serpentine Portal, which are probably Alutemu's ideal plays. And if he wants to do it again next turn, potential, but more likely I think the Mancrick is a step target, because it's likely to get a value trade and then just come down again.
Any Tempo Kings in the chat?
You mean Fireheart?
It's gotta be, right?
I wonder.
Yeah, because if you bloom this turn, you don't have mana to really... I guess you could Tidal Surge then the next turn. It's,
means it can't be stepped, which is a very, very big deal, or hit with 10. We obviously need to play it again. But oh my goodness, this curve for TIZS is illegal.
This was just the good old days, Derek. This was the nuts. You know what's coming, right? It's 5-cost Divine Shield copy into Jandis Shadow Step. I smell
obviously.
it. It's happening.
Oh no, you're not thinking big enough. It's 5-mana Divine Shield copy into Tenwu, and then you re-step it and play 4 more Divine Shields with all this steps.
Okay. Well, Alutemu did Lightning Bolt with the, I guess, plan to Tidal Surge the next turn in mind, and it works out okay on Mancrick here. Don't want that to potentially get stepped, and Fireheart can get traded over and then potentially step Mancrick, so yeah.
Alright,
Divine Shield.
Tick. +2/+2. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you take it here. There are situations where you think about if your opponent is planning to clear your board, you shouldn't take the +2/+2, but I think it's unlikely that Alutemu gets rid of both unless he has Perpetual Flame here.
Yeah, I'm really just thinking if they have Slogger, because it wasn't playable on the previous turn due to the overload, and if they do have it, would I even want deal 3 damage? Like, it's okay, but you just have Brain Freeze, and going Greater Golem Brain Freeze, even if it just buffs 1 minion, I think is probably still better.
I agree. I think TIZS is very much in a proactive position here, and he should double down on that, because Alutemu, given time, will outvalue his deck by a lot. But for now, I'm looking at Note Taker Feral Spirit. But perhaps there's something better you can do with the Lightning Bloom. He could get double Bloom, in fact, and just have that be all unlocked by the step completion.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, right? Feral Spirit's Charged Call. You get a 5 cost, which is the good level in the mid game to try and hit Earth Ellie, ideally, or a Nara.
Yeah. Oh no! No! These are all below average. That's easily the worst charge call on 5 cost I have ever seen.
Yeah, that was an absolute disaster. And now TIZS. Oh wow, he did go for deal 3 damage. It's pretty good here, to be fair.
Yeah, it works out great against this specific panel from Alutemu. Fair play, TIZS. I think this looks like a step Kazaka's hand, because he has so little value from here. I just want to ensure that you can replay that next turn.
You can't replay it with a 5 cost, but I guess you're probably right. It's too important. Yeah, I like it.
Only thing he lacks is resources here. He's just so far ahead on value. Alutemu himself, you know, he has resources, but not unlimited mana to play them all.
Yeah, the bloom, you know, isn't bad. Primordial Studies, man, that's value.
The Revolve is interesting too to make the giant more. I don't know how likely it is to be more easily dealt with, but the Fireheart chain continues even if you Revolve is the thing.
Go Bloom Chain Lightning just to get rid of Divine Shield. Like, it's so bad, but, you know, these cards are not winning. You want to go 1 into an uber nutty spell.
Oh. Torrent. Wait, did he play it? Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
last turn.
Torrent is
so
absolute nuts.
Yeah.
Always little time.
I almost never check this because it feels like you play spells every turn as Quest Shaman, but the one time it happened in Europe and they were like, yeah, of course it works, and it didn't work. It was funny. Storm Strike?
Yeah, probably Storm Strike, you're right.
The only way you can ever corrupt Dunk Tank is with Brukan in this deck, or like discovered spells, so I think it's a bit ambitious.
Okay, Secret Passage makes sense. You have just Kazakus directly into the 5 cost Golem next turn. It's interesting, right? Because you kind of want to play the Passage here by just going Octobot, Orc Merchant, Skulker, but you kind of want Passage to still be in your deck, and just straight up going again is not necessarily what I expected.
Yeah, I thought it would be fine to maybe just all in there and use the second Passage, even if you get to just play 1 card after Passage. You get that Skulker... Oh, wait, sorry. These are not drawn cards from Passage, so you don't actually get to discount the next card. Right?
Yeah.
But in the end, TIZS wanted full mana expenditure and ends up with Mancrake's Wife playable. I think that's a pretty good outcome.
Yeah, I'd rather that than draw 2 cards, I think. First Flame? Makes sense.
Yeah. Alright, it's come to something of a top deck war, strangely enough. Both players with turbo starts, but TIZS has the ace in the hole of a replayable Kazakus.
It's just such a huge deal.
A Canal Slogger, above average.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He can go Novice Zapper Storm Strike to clear the board on this turn.
Yeah, I think it's more important to get rid of the Mancrake without tanking it with the Fireheart here, so the Slogger can wait for the next turn. But slowly, somehow, Alutemu is coming back. After the Slogger, only 1 more Overload card needed to get to Brukan, and from then on, pretty much every spell in his deck is a giant threat.
It's so close, isn't it? Like, TIZS, as you said, has the nutty play of Kazakus plus Golem, but if you don't hit deal 3 and hit the good targets as well, like, you're still kind of losing on board. Maybe not necessarily if you can get Divine Shield copy.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Divine Shield copy.
Yeah, that's got to be the one.
Yep.
Such a huge tempo play.
It's great. And honestly, all TIZS needs next turn is any Battle Cry or combo card, and he has so much mana to work with. He has the first flame to self-proc the Octobot if he needs. And then he can just find his prize plunderers, delete whatever of Alutemu's board is left. Gotta be Golem here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No questions about it. Ooh.
Ooh.
That's interesting. It obviously doesn't deal enough damage, but...
It's just Brukan, though. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Stuff. But Alutemu wants to engineer it so that he doesn't overload for more than 4. And he has to play the Kanalsagar as well.
Yeah, I mean, that never happens, right? Even if it hits the Kazakus first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, but also, what's the best way you can clear as well?
I think you just play it. You just see what happens. Maybe you hit the 1 in 3 to kill the Kazakus as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because he wasn't going to trade his minions into Divine Shields anyway, right? So it's kind of like just playing the flame. Okay. Well, okay. Now to think about how the trades go. I rid of 5-5 and then 3-2 into 3-3 and then ship the rest face.
Unless you're sending all of it face, like Brukan next turn does potentially equal quite a bit of damage.
It does, but every time against Miracle Rogue I leave their stuff up and I feel like my board is gonna get there. They blow it up with this type of turn, so I like the trade.
This is the turn. This is the turn. Octobot, first flame. Oh, okay.
So first flame... Okay. So I guess he's not gonna flame his own Octobot, right? He's just gonna go off with this, sure.
This is fine, yep. It still gets there.
I miss Alex Straza. This was such a good card. Ooh. It goes on and on and on. Oh.
Yeah, that's
okay. That's one area where Vanessa would have been better. I'll hold that L.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It would have been way better there. Yeah, just leave that up. You don't care about it. Brukan into investment opportunity. Okay, that's one of the best draws in his deck.
But he needs a way to answer this field contact right now. Guide.
Oh,
the flame. Just okay. There's a lot of ways this can go wrong.
Oh no!
Oh!
What? There's no way! There's no way!
1 in 16? There weren't a lot of ways that could go wrong. I forgot it cast twice. It had to be really unlucky that that exact pan out happened.
And the cycle
oh my god.
Perpetual Flame is Alutemu's biggest friend and his biggest enemy at the same time. It won him the most ridiculous of games at the start of the series and just straight up lost him this game here.
Okay, wait.
Oh.
The upside, I guess, of not like killing that many things is he has plenty of mana to work with, so we're looking for miracles here. We're looking for charge call. Yes. Lightning Bloom. Yes.
These are insane.
Chain Lightning's really good as well. That's on rank 3.
It's ridiculously strong. You cast that on Alex Straza, it clears both the Alex and both minions next to it.
Oh my god. Rabbit.
Oh no, no Colossus.
Is he just dead to Wicked Stabs? I think he can clear the board, so like not having a taunt is just not a big deal. He's really just concerned about healing now because we're in range of double Wicked Stab at this point.
Oh wait, no, you don't target that, right? You target Alex Straza.
Yeah, because it doubles up.
It doubles up. Yeah, I think he missed that one.
Okay, well, he can still Bloom Hex.
Yeah.
Investment opportunity. I mean, he has to kill the Alex.
Yeah, he's fine. He just needs to go quickly.
Yeah. He has like no mana next turn, but whatever. You worry about next turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Alutemu...
Oh, the 2-1, he doesn't even go for it. So now we're just looking at double Wicked Stab lethal.
This has so few cards left in deck. Can he guarantee get to the other Wicked Stab? Don't think it's guaranteed, but it's so much he can do, right? Second Flame, Octobot.
Yeah.
There might not be an order even where he just whiffs for that long. It's just too many battle cries. Here we go. One Thief keeps the train going. First Flame, just keep going. Don't even think about it. None of these keep him drawing right now.
Yeah, I guess. It doesn't really matter. You just have to not rope.
Just take the First Flame.
Just go.
Yep.
Swindle? Oh, that's gotta
clear your
be
own
it,
minion.
right?
Clear your own minion with the Prize Plunder. All he needs to do is make sure he has board space to actually get to Wicked Stab if he needs to play more cards, right? Swindle.
He doesn't have mana if he goes swindle into it, though.
Oh, true. Okay.
Alutemu's alive. He has one last chance.
But almost no mana. I don't know.
4 mana.
Yeah.
4 mana and a dream.
Bloom, lightning.
Oh!
Yeah, tidal wave, something like that.
This is 18 damage. Alright, is it lethal with the Novice Zapper? Oh no. Oh no, sorry, it's not. It's 12.
It's... Oh, another Novice Zapper?
Oh!
Wait. Okay, he has 6 mana only, though, with the Lightning Bloom.
Right.
If you go Zapper, Lightning Bolt, that's 10. And then Serpent Shite's another 10. It's 3 off.
Oh, it's so close, though.
It is really close. And he could landslide to clear this, but he knows he's dead to Wicked Stab by that point, almost certainly, right?
Yeah, the Spring Water locks it out.
From Alutemu's perspective, is there any combination of cards that he's not dead to? I guess, maybe. So he is supposed to just go Landslide and then Serpentine Face.
I mean, if he just goes Novice Zapper, Serpentine Face, and gets double spell damage, then, like, you know, maybe. I got Lifesteal.
Double Mini Mage, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, but that is just gonna be the game. Wicked Stab off the top, didn't need to Spring Water for it. Here is TIZS' first win in the series. This was an incredible game, Daruk. So back and forth. And you know what? I actually think Alutemu could have gotten there if he had done the Chain Lightning on the Alex.
Maybe. I mean, how does it work? Because the Chained Lightning, I got it wrong. It doesn't kill the 2 minions next to Alexstrasza because the Foxy Fraud doesn't die until both resolutions have happened.
Right.
And so I think it would have worked out actually the same for him, thankfully, because the attack face from the Prize Plunderer didn't make a difference. It was still 12 damage through 2 Wicked Stabs. He actually overkilled by 2 in the end. I think the real problem was just the fact that his Perpetual Flame missed twice in a row on all those minions. Like, if he'd got that, he would have survived with a bit more health and been able to outlive those double Wicked Stabs. So close.
Obviously, that was extremely unlucky. I'm just trying to think if there was anything that was in his control that could have been changed. Because potentially, if the Chain Lightning had been used on Alex, maybe wouldn't have to spend 4 on Hex and could have done something else with that turn.
True. That's
I'm unsure what the hand looked like by that point, but man, was this a cool game. It was so back and forth, the high tempo on both sides, and this moment, at least Alutemu can take it in good spirits, you know?
We need a replay of that one again and again as Alutemu, you can pinpoint the exact frame where his heart broke and he lost the game. But still, it was a very cool game. And again, a game that I thought Alutemu was just losing, and the fact that he even had a chance is so impressive. A testament to his skill once again, as I scream incorrectly that he had lethal throughout the course of that game. But very, very well done. It means that now his remaining decks are Priest, Shadow Priest, and Mage, right? The Quest Mage, which is probably not the best of matchups. It doesn't matter what order he queues in, obviously, because he just needs to win one of the 2, and TIZS cannot switch off of his Rogue. But starting things off with the Priest, an interesting matchup, because once again, this is a very board-focused deck, doesn't have all too much burn damage, and generally, I would argue those are the kind of aggro decks that Rogue preys upon.
I actually think this is straight up Rogue favored. Maybe it's because the day that Lambi Series first submitted his Miracle Rogue last week, and I said on Twitter, every time I tried to play Kazakus this meta, I died the turn after. Granted, this was before the nerfs. And then what happened was I queued Shadow Priest on ladder into Lambi Series Miracle Rogue, and he just completely trashed me. And what I realized is Shadow Priest doesn't have a good answer to Octobot. They just don't. And if that goes off and field contact happens, it doesn't matter what kind of aggro deck you have, right? Your board is getting blown up.
Exactly. And with a hand like this to get things rolling for TIZS, my good Gideon, he is getting off to a incredibly strong start. Only keeps the Octobot. Okay, I guess the others were not necessarily that powerful. You just want to find the field contact to truly pop off.
Yeah.
And even without that, this hand is still looking very, very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. When we say field contact turn, it's kind of implied that there are brain freezes and prize plunderers included, but sometimes it runs a little dry. If your field contact is getting you value but not actually answering their board, then absolutely Shadow Priest can come back. So I don't mind that TIZS is looking for maybe a bit more consistency with the card draw. For Alutemu though, opening with Homunculus has left him with this awkward dilemma where the Kulturon doesn't have any targets, but Alutemu here is choosing to give up a potential card draw later on in favor of having a good target for the Chaplain instead.
Which I think makes sense. The card draw isn't going to be quite so crucial when you have Raised Dead. I think you should be able to... interesting. You should be able to make sure you're spending your mana efficiently with the Raised Dead. That Neophyte, though, like, it's so hard to tell because basically once Octobot procs for the rest of the game, you know they're gearing up for some kind of a massive pop-off turn. So whether you do it here or next turn, I guess you should play the Neophyte as soon as possible just so that you can try and sneak in some more chip damage.
True.
Before they pop off.
Yeah, I kind of like this because you are kind of, outside of minions, just resetting this particular turn of the Octobot. So Alutemu is trying to all-in his pressure this turn, and then he can go for a big Wriggling Horror, Kulturon Chaplain, and have as many threats at once on the turn when TIZS is likely to pop off with his answers, right? So making sure that everything is as hard to clear all at once as possible. I don't think TIZS will struggle with it because after this Neophyte goes off, his hand is absolutely nuts. But Alutemu does have raised that Neophyte to maybe get some stuff done. But yeah, it looks like TIZS is not going to kill it. I think it's wrong for him to kill it here, honestly. Yeah, love this.
This is very, very smart. Again, specifically for the Raised Dead so that he can pop off next turn. Because after this point, if the Neophyte is replayed, he doesn't care. He's already miles ahead on board. He can just sit back for a turn and quite happily pull himself still very far into the lead.
So if you're Alutemu, you're not beating this hand that we can see, but if the average hand is like, I don't know, Mancrick and a Foxy Fraud Swindle, that's already like a lot that you can discount, then I think you want to put as much health on the Taunt as possible. Wriggling's always happening, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, unless you're getting ridiculous and like shooting your own Neophyte to replay it off Raised Dead, which I think you just pray that they have a garbage hand. And as you said, play the Wriggling Horror, buff everything up as much as possible, and cross your fingers that it'll be enough to get there.
You can think about Chaplain and then buff Taunt plus Chaplain, because you get the Chaplain to 4 health, which is a breakpoint for Brain Freeze to survive from. Oh, okay. He's going to spread out the health instead and make this a bit more immune to Guardian Aug Merchant. Okay.
Oh, Shadow Step as well.
Gross.
This is disgusting. He absolutely launches himself into orbit with this play. It's so powerful.
Oh my god, step 1 thief as well. I mean, obviously you wait to see if you get Plunderer before you cast any step.
Yeah.
Even without it, this is really, really powerful.
Yeah, Plunder is the absolute turbo nuts with this hand, of course, to completely clear the board and keep drawing all at the same time. But you make do with one thief if you don't have it, I agree.
There's even an argument for stepping Octobot at the end of this. I don't think the additional spell off of one thief is a big deal. The additional draw you get from the field contact might be a big deal, but I like the idea of Octobot. Like, TIZS has plenty of resources. He just needs to make sure he has the mana to play it and the health total to stay alive.
Stepping field contact. I don't know how I feel about that. You have double secret passage in hand. Like, they would both cost 0 after you've stepped and replayed the Octobot. Like, I don't know. This doesn't really feel necessary to me.
Agreed. But I love the step Octobot.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just highest tempo. It's weird. He went for one super greedy step and one high tempo step, but I guess the logic being if the Octobot goes off, then the field contact costs 0.
Yeah.
Pretty strong. But Alutemu looking for the cult Neophyte here, gets it.
Muzzle their magic.
Ideally would have been able to get Wriggling Horror, but of course it wasn't even in the Raise Dead pool, because that would have been nutty to one-shot the Octobot.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And so then Twilight Deceptor can be used to get another Raise Dead, but that's not necessarily an immediate priority. That will be active essentially every turn here on in for the rest of the game.
And it's also like more likely to get Void Shard by this point, right?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue that Void Shard would be a good play next turn, but I don't think that's a valid argument.
It might be, because with this type of hand from TIZS, and Alutemu knows it, where the resources are super abundant, Alutemu's best way back to win the game is maybe just shipping everything face, hope that something sticks, and get there with back-to-back Void Shards, but all these plans sound flimsy. Granted, Alutemu's built a very hefty board to have to get through, especially with 2 Brain Freezes used, so TIZS is really looking for the prize plunderers here.
It's
or just
probably
fire sale?
just a fire sale turn, right? Yeah, you can go bump, fire sale. It's not mega clean.
Yeah, it leaves 5 power on board. I honestly don't know if that's actually clearing more than a field contact turn would on average.
There is the Neophyte effect in play, you got to remember as well, like that.
True.
I don't know, I guess you've played most of your spells, like double Shadow Step, double Brain Freeze as well. I don't know, maybe that was just better.
I'm unsure, but
yeah.
Looking at it now, I guess 5 power, not that scary for TIZS. It is scary if you think Alutemu has the type of hand with the back-to-back Void Shards or Elucia at any point. Also a very big threat, because TIZS is still quite a ways off from Alexstrasza, which is his only form of healing in this deck.
Ooh, okay. Man Crick there is nice to get, obviously, to go with the, hopefully, Deceptor into...
Thrive?
What's it even called? Thrive in the Shadows. Yeah, there we go. To get the big Man Crick out. Like, this is still scary for TIZS. Until he gets Alexstrasza down to heal, it's far from over.
Okay, Raise Dead, though, is the outcome. I think that's the best one of all the outcomes for Alutemu, except he misses on Wriggling Horror and Neophyte, which were the good ones here by a country mile, I think.
Yeah, that really sucks. You just got to go as wide as you can.
I wonder, though, I was tempted to start weaving in with the pings as well. That might be relevant.
That's true. I mean, you know that they have field contact in hand, but they've used double Brain Freeze. I think his best chance is to go wide on the board and pray that both prize plunderers are bottom of the deck.
That's true. And also with double Shadow Steps, the prize plunderers are only clearing 1 minion apiece here. There's also Aug Merchant to think about, but then that's only clearing the other Aug Merchant. So Alutemu, reasonably certain that his board, at least 2/5 of it, could stick around by the end of this. But we'll see.
Okay, that doesn't matter. We're probably going Skulk here again because of the immediate discount effect.
Going Swindle instead. I guess he was looking to stab for Mancrick here.
Makes sense.
But it's
and now
really
just
not clearing that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Still scary. Still that little bit of danger still lurking.
Boy, are the plunderers really just bottom of his deck? What is happening here?
Wow,
Had
they
one
really
more
are.
chance for it, but missed it, which means that a whole 7 damage is sticking for Alutemu unless this is Flurry, but it's not. 7 damage plus ping plus Void Shard over 2 turns is lethal.
Could just still get there. I thought it was over turns ago, but you know, as you were saying, Void touched Attendant, Void Shard, many good draws. Once the animations
for Mancrick's
keep
wife
up.
as well. Yeah, that's slow. Okay,
It's okay.
by this point, I think he's meant to just ignore the field contact, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I fully agree. How much damage do you get face on this turn? It's 7-9. That's Void Shard lethal next turn, right? That sounds like as good of a chance as any to me.
It's not Mancrix Wife lethal, and you are expecting your board to get blown up, so not Void Touched Attendant lethal, but that's really Alutemu's best chance of this, is the 2 Void Shards in his deck. Not everybody is running that, but it's for situations like this that you do want to see. Oh, sorry. I clicked on a card from last game. Not looking for that. Hurry, Void Shard, show up, cover my mistake.
There we go.
There it is. Gotta be ping face.
Yeah, wow, really? Damn, he believes in this board. I mean, I guess if you kill the contact, you know almost for a... Well, you know basically for 100% for a fact that the prize plunderers are down at the bottom of the deck. And so if they don't have their other field contact as well, or their spells are too expensive because of the neophyte to draw through, like... You can maybe hope that your board sticks here, I guess.
Okay. You know, it's actually pretty smart, right? If you do expect, with the knowledge you had, and he had quite a lot of it, that the prize plunder is at the bottom, like you said, and 2 brain freezes used, and yeah, maybe the board does just give him more chances if you make sure there's no more card draw, but finally a plunderer shows up. Only 1 can be played this turn, though?
He's played 3 cards so far. So Foxy Fraud, Prize Plunderer, after rushing in, does kill off the Homunculus, and then you can clear off a little bit extra, but it's not necessarily enough to clear the board, right?
Yeah.
Attack. 2 damage on board. Void Shard still ends up being lethal. And Alutemu throws his hands together in prayer. 1 card, 1 time. It's all he needs.
Sometimes it's Thrive, too, for the guaranteed. I thought I saw a pink-looking card, but the Spectator has yet to keep up. Okay, he's cheering.
Oh!
Okay, I saw a pink card. It's purple, after all.
That is pink, I think, and Alutemu is going through to the semi-finals. What a sick series. That was so much fun. Alutemu just playing some lights-out Hearthstone. Things going very much in his favor, things going very much not in his favor along the way. But all the way along, you can just tell he was having the time of his life playing that. And deservedly so, going through to the semi-finals. What a display.
An incredible series. I am just really sorry that I ruined this pristine VOD with my misclick on Tuesday. Can you imagine not even playing a game and having a disastrous misclick? Only Gia things. But that was so cool at the end there for Alutemu. Again, I'm not necessarily sure if the field contact was the right, or like pinging that was the right thing or not, because we can see what it ended up doing here, or at least with this pan out of Secret Passage, is save Alutemu to attack on board, which is like the ping would have gotten to attack to face. So similar. So it's really tough to say, because I think in almost every circumstance, Alutemu needs to top deck Void Shard or Thrive in the Shadows anyway in order to win this game. Because if he didn't kill there, TIZS was going to Alex his own face and heal up. But these tiny decisions, the tiny margins, and especially the very first game where Alutemu found a way back into it that none of us could have even imagined possible against the Anaconda board, made this probably already an early candidate for Series of the Season, in my opinion.
Easily for me. And just look at already, there's still Trehezen vs Lambi series, but I think if you put a gun to my head and force me to choose my 3 top players of APAC, it would be these 3. They have just consistently had some of the best performances across Asia Pacific, constantly innovating on lineups, driving forward the metagame here in Asia Pacific. And again, aside from 1 or 2 blunders that we've seen today from Possessi and Alutemu, of the very minor variety, I think their gameplay has been outstanding for the most part. And I'm just excited to cast this semi-finals tomorrow already. Even if Trehezen or Lambi series gets through, I think both would be the perfect cherry on top.